What if I told you there was a single secret to success? A formula that was discovered by studying over 500 of the wealthiest people in history? Well, that's the big promise of Napoleon Hill's 1937 classic, Think and Grow Rich. And today, we're going to unlock that very secret.
Right from the get-go, Hill hits us with this mysterious idea of a secret. He says the price is far less than its value, but, he's not talking about money. He says it's for those who are truly ready to find it. So what on earth is this secret?
Well, the whole quest to find it started when the legendary industrialist Andrew Carnegie gave a young Napoleon Hill a mission. He said, go study the most successful people of our time, the Fords, the Edisons, the Rockefellers, and figure out what they all have in common. Distill their shared philosophy. And listen, this was not just some weekend project. Hill spent over 20 years meticulously analyzing more than 500 self-made millionaires. He was looking for that common thread, that single philosophy that shot them all to unbelievable levels of success. And guess what? He found it.
So where does this whole journey begin? Well, the absolute starting point for every single great achievement is an idea so fundamental it's actually really easy to overlook. Every fortune, every invention, every empire, it all started as a simple, intangible thought inside a human mind.
But Hill is very, very clear here. This isn't just a wish. It's not a hope. He calls it a burning desire. You got to think of it as an all-consuming obsession, a definite purpose that you're willing to bet your entire future on with absolutely no plan B.
The perfect example of this is the story of a guy named Edwin C. Barnes. Now, Barnes had no money, not much of an education, but he had one singular burning desire: to become a business associate of the great Thomas Edison. Notice he didn't just want a job. He was determined to work with the man himself. This right here, this was his entire mentality. He literally showed up at Edison's laboratory looking like a tramp, but his mindset was crystal clear. He left himself no possible way of retreat. It was, as Hill puts it, a total win or perish attitude. And this is where the magic happens, where the principle comes to life. Barnes' intense desire put him in Edison's orbit, so when an opportunity popped up, selling a new dictating machine that nobody else believed in, he grabbed it. He was so successful that he eventually became Edison's national distributor, turning that initial intangible thought into a massive fortune.
Okay, so a burning desire is the fuel. That's the engine. But how do you actually get to your destination? Well, Hill provides a very specific blueprint for turning that desire into its financial equivalent. And Hill's formula is incredibly specific. It's 6 practical steps. Number 1, fix in your mind the exact amount of money. No vague stuff. 2, determine exactly what you'll give in return, because there's no such thing as something for nothing. 3 and 4, set a definite date and create a definite plan. This turns a fuzzy dream into a real project. And the last 2 steps, they're all about programming your subconscious mind. 5, write it all down. And 6, read that statement aloud, twice a day, every day, visualizing yourself already there.
Now, to execute a plan, you obviously need knowledge. But Hill completely redefines what education even means. It is not about how much you've memorized. The word actually comes from the Latin educo, which means to draw out from within. So an educated person is someone who knows how to acquire and apply specialized knowledge whenever they need it.
This idea is captured perfectly in a story about Henry Ford. During a lawsuit, some lawyers were trying to prove he was ignorant by peppering him with trivia questions. Ford, getting really exasperated, finally said this. His point? He didn't need to know everything himself. He had built a team, what Hill calls a mastermind group, that he could tap into for any information. Now that is true education.
All right, so you've got the desire, you've got the plan, and you know how to get the right knowledge. What could possibly go wrong? What's the one thing that stops most people dead in their tracks?
In his analysis of over 25,000 cases of failure, Hill found this one thing near the very top of the list: a lack of decision. Procrastination, that habit of putting things off and being swayed by everyone else's opinions, is the absolute enemy of progress. You see, successful people make decisions quickly and they change them slowly, if they ever change them at all.
But even with a burning desire, a solid plan, and decisive action, you are going to hit roadblocks. It is absolutely inevitable. And this, right here, is where the real price of success is paid. That price is persistence. This is a core belief in Hill's entire philosophy. What most of us call failure, he just calls temporary defeat. It's not a dead end, it's just a signal that your plan isn't working and you need to build a new one. See, within every single setback is a lesson, an opportunity, the seed of a future triumph.
The book is just filled with incredible examples of this. There's a warrior who burned his own ships before a battle, forcing his army to either win or perish. The result? They won. There's Marshall Field, who stood on the smoking ruins of his store after the Great Chicago Fire and vowed to build the world's greatest store on that very spot. And of course, the famous cautionary tale of R.U. Darby, who stopped digging just 3 feet from a massive vein of gold.
And this brings us right back to the central question. After all of this, the desire, the plans, the persistence, what is the actual secret that Andrew Carnegie wanted Hill to share with the world? Well, it's not one little thing. It's the complete and total mastery of your own mind.
Hill argues that your mind is constantly in one of 2 states. A failure consciousness is just steeped in thoughts of poverty, doubt, and fear. You have to deliberately, consciously, cultivate a success consciousness, a mind that is conditioned to think only in terms of faith, purpose, and abundance. You literally have to make your mind a hostile environment for any thought of failure. So the secret is really this formula. It's like alchemy. You start with a burning desire. You supercharge it with unwavering faith that you will achieve it. You give that faith structure with definite plans, and you power through all the obstacles with relentless persistence. And finally, you amplify everything by forming a mastermind, a group of like-minded people who support your purpose, creating a kind of powerful collective intelligence. And this is the ultimate takeaway. Think about it. You can't control the economy. You can't control what other people do. But you have absolute sovereignty over the thoughts you choose to hold in your mind. This is your greatest power, and it's the foundation of this entire philosophy. And to get that control, Hill says you have to conquer the 6 fundamental fears, the ghosts that sabotage our minds. These are the fears of poverty, of criticism, of ill health, of losing love, of old age, and of death. He argues that every single one of them is just a state of mind, and they can all be mastered and defeated by a definite purpose. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Everything begins as a thought. The only limits that actually exist are the ones you place on yourself. And faith, that absolute belief in your ability to achieve your desire, that's the chemical that dissolves those limitations for good.
So, the final question Hill's philosophy leaves us with is this. Knowing that your mind can build anything it can conceive and believe, and that there are no limitations except the ones you accept, what will you choose to build first?